You've probably been hearing in the news over the last week or so that if there's one industry that looks set to suffer as a result of the Donald Trump tariffs of 20% on all products made in the EU and exported from the EU into the US, it's the area of whisky. Anthony Sheehy is the owner and co-founder of several pioneering brands, but he's also the instigator or the creator of the world's first ever whisky auction platform. He's based in Dundalk and he joins me on the line right now. So, Anthony, you are a bit of a guru on the whisky industry. How nervous are whisky producers at the moment?
I think they're massively nervous at the minute because it's the uncertainty that's contributing to everything. I mean, they don't know for sure whether the tariffs are going to be implemented, so they can't make plans. And I mean, whisky is all about long-term planning. I mean, again, the minute you make whiskey, you can't sell it for a minimum of 3 years. So it's the longevity of what they do. And so the uncertainty is really permeating throughout the entire industry.
Well, now, you've created the Whisky Hub, which effectively, I suppose, allows you to tic-tac with other whisky producers around the place. In terms of whisky production in the Louth Meath area, how active are distillers in this area?
Well, I mean, we've got a great history of it. I mean, with the Cooley distillery in North Louth, but also on top of that, we have one of the biggest bulk producers of whiskey, which is the Great Northern Distillery, the former Harp Lager in Dundalk, John Teeling's project. We've Bowan Distillery. And then there's so many little boutique distilleries as well and brands that are featured as well. There's many brands in the northeast that also don't have a distillery themselves but are, you know, fulfilling whiskey throughout the world. And they've all scaled back. I mean, a lot of the staff in the Great Northern Distillery have been put on reduced time. Their production has been cut. Because of the uncertainty, they don't know if the markets are going to be there to meet the demand or the product that they're creating. So, but it's not just the distilleries themselves, it's so many others. I mean, if the distilleries aren't distilling, they're not buying barley, they're not buying grain, so the farmers are affected. They're not shipping products, so the couriers and the haulage companies are affected. I mean, the Great Northern Distillery, for example, would fill on a normal week when it was at production about 3,000 barrels of whiskey a week. They've now reduced that to 1,000. And I mean, that's just one of the distilleries within Ireland. So you can imagine the knock-on. I mean, one of the biggest in the country, the biggest in the country, and the biggest in the world nearly, the Middleton Distillery in Cork, they're suspending production for 4 months, 3 to 4 months. So all of these things have a massive knock-on. And then the staff, which their payroll is not being spent locally or anything like that. So there's massive knock-on effect into the communities as well, which is, I don't think anybody's really talking about as well as one of the big things.
Yeah, and I put this question to Francie Gorman of the Irish Farmers Association at the weekend, actually last Friday, and he was a little bit taken aback by the question. And then I read that the world-famous economist Paul Krugman made the point that maybe one way to lessen the blow for Irish whisky and Irish food producers is to set up offices in places like Newry and export via the north and therefore save themselves a 10% hit on the tariffs. Is that an option that whisky producers might explore in the coming months?
But I mean, it's still going to be country of origin as Ireland. So is that still going to be affected? I mean, that's not clear either. I mean, again, there's many brands within Ireland who may not, I mean, even within Northern Ireland as well, that although they sort of are a UK traded company, they're using whiskey that was distilled in the Republic of Ireland, so originally from the Cooley distillery or from Great Northern here in Dundalk. So that's not clear and that's not a route. And even then at that, I mean, for the whiskey brands themselves, yes, they might be saving the 10% in the tariff, but the additional costs of logistics, moving it from, you know, Republic of Ireland to Northern Ireland, the storage within Northern Ireland, so it'll have to be held in a bonded warehouse situation, and then the administration and all of them costs. I mean, it probably won't be that much of a saving. I know some of the brands have already sort of tentatively looked at it, but I just don't think it's clear cut. And again, the greyness of whiskey is one of the few products in the world that's traded as an Irish product, an all-Ireland product. So Bushmills is known as an Irish whiskey. So when it's even been sold into the US markets, although it's a UK registered and it's UK duties and all that sort of stuff, it's still known as an Irish whiskey. So you just don't know how it's going to be perceived in that market. I mean, is clear cut as it's a UK registered company, so then it'll be only on the 10% tariffs as opposed to the 20%. But as I say, even the logistics of moving between jurisdictions and the paperwork and the administration and all of that sort of stuff is going to have a cost. So I just don't think it's going to be as clear-cut as something as that, you know.
Well, these tariffs, I mean, how potentially damaging are they for the industry? Because if people in, you know, a Walmart in St. Louis, Missouri or Los Angeles, California are walking down the aisle and they see whiskey on the shelves and they see Irish whiskey costing, we'll just say, $30 a bottle and whiskey from Tennessee at $15 a bottle, isn't the likelihood that they'll buy the cheaper brand rather than the more expensive Irish brand? And this has the potential to increase sales for the US producer and decrease sales for the Irish producer. How realistic is that proposal?
Yes, to a point. I mean, most of Irish whiskey, and again, the figures tell us more than we already know. I mean, for the last few years, the Irish whiskey industry has been growing massively into the American market. But I mean, it's predominantly been led by Jameson. I mean, the figures are, there's more Jameson sold in the US than the rest of the top 10 of the entire whiskey industry combined by a power of 4. That's how big Jameson is in the American market. So again, it's more the premium products. So will these tariffs have that much of an effect on it? Yes, it will, but it's still known as a bit of a premium product. I mean, you can buy, you know, the Tennessee whiskey or the local bourbon in America, usually cheaper than some of the imported products. So it is going to have an effect. But I think it's the uncertainty. It's like even at the minute, they're hesitant about spending marketing budgets going into America because they just don't know what it's going to be. I mean, one of the companies I'm involved with is a tourism company, whiskey tourism. And again, a lot of the brands, a lot of our audience would come from America, but we just don't know if how good or how fruitful it's going to be for the brands to market into America if they can't get the products on the shelf or there's more barriers. It's the distributors over there. Are they going to continue bringing the product in if there's an additional 20% tariff? Because ultimately, it's the American importers and distributors who will be paying this tariff. I mean, it won't be a direct cost per se to the Irish
Anthony,
producers,
let me ask you this question. I mean, the drive seems to be to sell product in America, but we just had a text in there from Katrina, she didn't give her second name, wanting to know why all the emphasis is on the US market. I mean, how are whiskey sales doing in Australia or Africa or Asia or Central Europe?
They're growing. They're just growing. But again, it's the scale of what America was to Irish whiskey. I mean, it was been the main source. I mean, about 45% of John Teeling's output ends up from the Great Northern Distillery ends up in America. So it's a huge block of it. It's not the be-all and end-all. I mean, you've got so many emerging markets. And at the minute, Nigeria has got one of the fastest-growing middle classes in the world. So they're all now looking for the premium, the prestige imported products. So they're looking for the whiskies. Asia is a massive one. But again, we're only a dot on the world stage compared to Scotch. I mean, there's more Johnny Walker sold in India, more of one brand sold in India than the entire output of the Irish whiskey industry. So we've huge growth potential.
Yeah, we've some catching up to do, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. But the challenges for them is getting into the markets, whereas we've been established in America. There's an affinity between Irish-American. We can sell on the sort of the Irish element of it into America, so there's a lot of people would buy on that, and we don't have that, say, in China and Asia. Australia is a growing market as well, but just the logistics of getting products into these countries is all there for it. And then for the brands to resource putting in a marketing team and developing and all that, that's where the challenges lie for that.
So how do you feel about the next couple of months? Are we looking at the situation that you outlined at the start of the interview, where there will be possible job losses, there will be possible reductions in sales, there will be possible reductions in income, and that the whisky business in this country looks set to take a hit?
I think the easiest way to describe it is just a readjustment. We've been growing so exponentially. I mean, in 2010 we had 4 distilleries in all of Ireland. We now have over 50. So it has been growing so exponentially that everybody has the expectation that it was going to continue on that trajectory. And I don't think that's going to be the case. It is going to slow down. It's not going to be a wipeout. Irish whiskey has been around a long time, and it will continue long into the future. But yes, there will be adjustments from some companies. And again, it's the knock-on jobs that I think people aren't factoring in as well. As I say, is even the local coffee shop and delicatessen that supply all the staff that are in these places. I mean, that's where it sort of can be felt as well. So it is going to be a tough few months. The problem we have is just nobody truly knows what the outcome of this can be. I mean, they could, this week he could turn around and just say, well, actually, we're not going to apply the 20% tariffs and it's all systems go. It's the uncertainty, I think, that's challenging for most companies. OK, we're going to leave it there. Anthony Sheehy, the CEO of the Whisky Hub and IrishWhiskeyAuctions.com, based in Dundalk. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. OK.